Let's dive into the world of tabletop gaming and painting with the Tippy cast. From rolling dice to mastering brushstrokes, we're here to fuel your passion. Join us for insights, inspiration, and endless creativity. I'm Chris.
And I'm Daz. So, Chris, what's on the table?
Well, Daz, I've been continuing with my Fallout February. I've been painting the Vault Dwellers. Can't remember if I'd finished them on the last episode or not, but I've got all my Vault Dwellers done. I've been working on some Raiders, and I've got a pretty good collection of Raiders, including the Forged. So I've been kind of just doing them in different batches, like the guys in the road leathers, like the biker gear. Did them first, and then just kind of looking at what other armor pieces they've got on, and painting a bunch of models that have got that on, and painting the other, then power armor. So I've steadily been chipping away, but a bit under the weather through the week, so I haven't done a lot of painting this week. And next weekend I'm going on holiday, so back end of the week I'll also not be painting, and won't be painting for for about a couple of weeks of next month, so about half the month. So I think what I'll be doing for March will just be like miscellaneous March, just painting a bunch of different scenery bits, finishing off any of these raiders that I've still got to do, and just bits like that. What about yourself?
Yeah, I've been keeping to my resolutions. I got some Siberian veterans done, as I mentioned the other day. I finished a commissar banner holder for my Soviet Union winter stuff, and I'm slowly chipping away with.
Was that the one you put the snow effects on?
Yeah, and I also put a muzzle flash.
Flag guy.
Yeah, and a muzzle flash on it as well, which came out really, really nice. Yeah, just getting through my Bleeding Heart Foundation. I was just a lot of that was spent trying to get like the right skin tone I wanted for the vampires in there, and obviously the blood bank people in that group. Ordinarily, with a lot of my wrestlers, they've got quite toned skin, very much. Healthy skin, I suppose, is the best way to put that. But these guys, I thought I'd try and make them a bit more pale, but not, they're not look dead, because they're not dead. They're just having a lack of blood. So I was playing around with that skin tone. Finally got the skin tone down to where I want it, and now just sort of doing the other bits like their clothes and things like that. So yeah, I've been doing that. Obviously, I posted on the Rumbleslam group about getting the bat heart finished. I'm really pleased with how that's come out. The sunglasses that I used, really, the colour shift paints that I used came out really nice. I was initially worried about the sunglasses looking a bit silly, but I'm really pleased how well they've come out. Especially that was my first use of green stuff. All in all, really pleased with how it's come out. And the colour of it looks great, because what I did with the wings, because obviously it's more of so bat wings are like a skin flap, really. Instead of the rest of his body, I did like with a umber wash, so it's a more browny. But with the wings, I went, even though it's got the same base colour, I went with a skin wash, and then just in a nice dry brush of like a bony colour to really pull out the fact this is like stretched skin. And it came out really, really nice. Really pleased with it. Genuinely very fun to paint. But yeah, and I also got the plague. A plague. I think it's just the plague. Her name is the Rhea Ripley one. That's sort of just last little bits now on that one. And every so often, I just keep touching up the tank that I've got from my Soviet Union, just because it's
quite in trouble for that.
Oh, I know. don't worry, it's an old tank. It's just obviously because it's such a large model, and a lot of it's a lot of similar colours. I wouldn't say it's like daunting. It's just more the fact is it's just because it's obviously so
bland.
Yeah, and I sort of do that in pieces. Other than that, I've not really been doing a great deal other than say just sort of like just finishing up little bits, just playing around with things. I was playing around with the Ospiedale appointment, putting a beard on the Doctor of Brawlology.
Really hammering in that it's just you.
Yeah, just hammering in that it's me. I'm contemplating putting a gut on it. Obviously not a big gut, but just like I haven't got abs, so just filling him out a little bit more, just to really drive home that it is me. And my plan for that is
as we know, the Sir Flex was me.
Yeah, I mean, they still tell us not to send them pictures anymore, but no, we'll keep sending you them.
To be fair, the pinnacle of affluence model that they've done for Carnevale, that looks a lot like me. But maybe they've added a couple of extra pounds to him, but I mean, he's got the goatee and he's got the shaved head, so I mean, that looks a bit like me.
And it's a fantastic model, but we shall discuss that later on.
We'll get to that later.
We'll get to that later. But yeah, other than that, just plugging along with some things, just trying to. I've had like lots of figures like in sort of stages of completion, because I tend to paint things as and when I need them and what game I'm playing a lot more of. But I've just sort of been trying to finish up things in different stages of completion, just to sort of like get them off the table and then make room for other things. And I also started assembling another unit of Winter Soviets. And I bought this flamethrower team off this guy off eBay, because Warlord Games now are going into resin. And initially you'd have to buy them, the flamethrower teams, you'd have to buy them as like a larger pack. So you'd get like the flamethrower operator and his guy, and then you'd have to buy like another two more like weapons teams that come with them, like a light mortar and a medium machine gun. But I already had those in the Soviet Army starter set, so I didn't want to get like more of those. But then I found this guy selling them on eBay singly. So I bought those, and then I had some of that flame, so the flame effect thing left over from when I did the dragon, because it came in like in a pack of 3. And I stuck that to the gun there. So, and then my plan is with that when I come to put the snow effect on, I'm going to make it look like the snow's kind of melted around the arc of where his fire is, which I think is going to look really nice. So yeah,
well, I've got some bits planned for doing a flame tutorial, because I did one in the video I did for painting Mythos and the corn demons and things. But with it not being expressly stated there was like fire effects in it, it's like, I think if I did a one solely for that, it would be quite helpful.
And it's also quite transferable, because
it's quite helpful for you.
And it's also a transferable thing, because it's it's the same principle with like muzzle flash, if that's your jam, and also it's good as well to combine it with like one source lighting as well. So it's always handy. Taking it from your model from one stage to the next level is always good.
Yeah. What the people do with painting flames is they use washes, and it's like don't use washes.
No, I don't use washes.
That applies shadow to the flame, and you don't get that.
No.
So it's like it's a weird reversal of what you've been shown for how to paint stuff from everything for like Games Workshop. It's like just don't use washes.
It is. It's weird how
brightest
often.
Colours.
Yeah.
And done.
Yeah.
But speaking of using bright colours, we're going to go to the bright spandex of the wrestling world with Rumbleslam. And I think TTCombat may have been listening to us as we talked about Feral Dane last time.
Yeah.
Because on the pre-orders right now is the Broga, and he's a Feral Dane superstar, who I know you're a big fan of.
Yep.
But,
and it's
I think we'll go into more detail about him on New and Shiny, but there's been a bit more Feral Dane representation on the Facebook page and things like that for Rumbleslam since we've been talking about them. So I think we've done a good thing that bringing Feral Dane out of the shadows and into the spotlight.
Which
so
is nice.
another one which also happens to coincide with the other pre-orders is the Moote Carlo Casino.
Yes. I do love the Moote Carlo Casino. Because
such a good visual style to them.
And as well, especially when you compare it to other factions, don't get me wrong, like in the world of wrestling, in real life and not just on the tabletop in Rumbleslam, all the wrestling teams that they have are all very flamboyant. I mean, a few aside. But I think the Feral Den really take that flamboyance to the next. It's not the Feral Den, the Moote Carlo. Sorry, we were talking about Feral Den last time. The Moote Carlo Casino.
I just love Feral Den.
Moote Carlo really take that flamboyance of wrestling, and again, really, really emphasize the sort of entertainment value of Luchador specifically. And obviously, there was that free agent superstar called the Henchilada that they brought out.
Yeah.
Right in the first wave, who was always a staple in any force, in any sort of team that I had, just because he's a really solid fighter. And I was so happy when they brought out the Lords of the Ring. Like, what more could you want than halflings in luchador masks that are jumping up, flipping each other around? And they do fall in, because obviously going back to our episode when we said about play styles in Rumbleslam round 2, the Moote Carlo Casino, I nearly did it again. The Moote Carlo Casino really emphasizes that the theater of wrestling, and the Kalaka Kabbalah, the Lords of the Ring, the new things that have come out to the the booster pack of the Kalaka Kabbalah, the Brawl Marillion. They're all all of their move sets that they have are all like super flamboyant, and it's that aspect of it as well. And I think a lot of people, when they play the Moote Carlo, any sort of Moote Carlo team, don't use what is quite frankly their key feature. You need to be doing these exciting moves. You need to be doing the turnbuckles. You need to be doing the flamboyant things, because that's what they do. And it's not just the rookies that do it. Like, even a lot of the superstars, it's all about flamboyance. It's all about, look at me, look at what amazing things I can do. And just, I feel of all of them, they are the most theatrical, the theatrical faction. And it's just it's that Latin flair, I suppose, the best way to put that.
Yeah, they've got such a good visual style, like I said at the start there. Like, you don't get the Day of the Dead Sugar Skull stuff in other games. It's a very unique style to it. You've got Beliza Agua, like La Llorona, that sort of character on there. Then Senora Muerte, where she's like half flesh,
undead,
half bone. Yeah, the Lady Death, and it's like, again, that it's just stuff that you don't get in other games, and it's like why every time I've painted some Moote Carlo models, I've really enjoyed it, because it's not something that you've done when you've painted some like Warhammer or like at the minute we're painting the Fallout stuff. This is all just very unique to Rumbleslam.
I mean, every sort of Moote Carlo thing that I have painted, I've thoroughly enjoyed painting it. I mean, what other faction out there has a sentient pinata as a superstar? It's
and a cactus.
And it's just, it's so vibrant, it's so out there, it's so bright. I mean, the only other faction, I suppose, that sort of comes anywhere close to the vibrancy of the Moote Carlo is probably Knights of the Square Circles. Or, I was going to say like the whole faction, but obviously the Bleeding Heart Foundation's still very gothic. But yeah, it's just...
Yeah, like the chivalry and knight side of the casinos are very, like you say, flamboyant. The gothic side of it is, you're painting lots of blacks and reds. That's why with my vampires, I do a very pale, like off-white blue, like skin tone on them, because that just, it works really well against the dark clothing that your vampires always end up in. And I try not to use any of those dark colours on the night side of things. Obviously there'll be like what's it called, the Black Knight?
I have I got it? I think so. I might do. It's probably in my pile.
But like, I mean, he's in like blacks and reds as well, because he's the Dark Knight. Well, not the Dark Knight, the Black Knight.
And I love that mini so much, just because I'm a big Monty Python fan. But
yeah, I've still got him to paint. He's in the pile when I get back to doing on some Rumbleslam.
But no, I think some of my favourite superstars are Moote Carlo. I mean, obviously, like I love the Feral Den. My biggest collection of stuff is from Gomorrah. But Moote Carlo does follow up very quickly of like the amount of stuff that I have for it. And again, just because it's so different from everything else, and it's because you've got the bright colours. It's obviously I try to make their skin tone a little more like tanned, because obviously they're south of the border, and some of the names that they come up with for these characters and the moves that they have, it just
Junior, Senior, Junior.
Again, he isn't like whenever I run a halfling team, he is one of the superstars that I use, just because it's like, oh, you've KO'd him, well, he's going to come back for a bit as a ghost, and if I KO someone else, he comes back, and then it's like, oh, because they just get really annoyed. It's just like, you just can't knock him out, and it's just, well, you can, but he just comes back. But I mean, other like superstars that they have, the fabulous Atok, like he's one of the most dexterous guys in the game, and
yeah, he's ridiculous. One of each dice +2.
What more could you want out of that?
Yeah.
And then who else? The Sapphire Fiend. I painted mine to look like Sully from Monsters Inc.
I love Sapphire Fiend because, I mean, he's a play on Blue Demon, classic luchador, and like it's such a really nice, like, I want to say parody of them, like inspired by like a legend of the luchador wrestling style, and it's done it. I'd say it does them justice because I love that model as well.
And I mean, and obviously you know as well as I do, you know that, Chris, that I'm a massive Mick Foley fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have every rendition of Mama Foley's Boys in Rumbleslam. I've got Mr. Sock, I've got the Lord of Anarchy, I've got Peyote Pete, which I love the fact with that one, of all of the parodies that they tend to do with like the wrestlers, the two of the Cactus Jack ones, or two of the Mick Foley ones, Peyote Pete and Cactus Jack, it's like that, and Mr. Sock, they are the two ones that are closest to the bone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if not just at the bone of the parody of it. And that's also like where I sort of found out so I will actually say this to anyone who doesn't know this. When I painted Peyote Pete, this was actually it was actually because of Peyote Pete, where me and Chris sort of became a lot more like friends with each other, and became like just talked quite regularly after that, was because I picked his brains about painting checkered shirts. And I picked Chris's brain about it, and then from there, me and him just sort of started chatting about stuff, and then ended up doing the Tippy cast and all sorts. And it was because of that.
So you can thank TTCombat for this.
So yeah, and it's also where I found out about when I started doing denim, when I started painting the denim on his trousers, and that turned out really, really well. But as a character, he is so fun to use, because it's like, you can grapple him if you want. So, because like,
I wouldn't recommend it.
I wouldn't recommend it, but you can, like, and that's it. It's like he almost like defends himself by not doing anything, because it's like, yeah, I've got spikes, and I think if I'm right in saying, I think his brawl attack does bleed as well. So it's like, because he's just a cactus.
Anytime the wrestler makes a grapple or lift attack, or another wrestler makes a grapple or lift attack against this wrestler, the other wrestler receives a bleeding counter. So it's if you lift or grapple him.
So there you go. Even if he's unconscious,
he does have an active. Is it active ability? The red ability.
Yeah,
10,000 needles gives you -1 AP, -1 MP, and bleeding.
So there you go.
That's a damage 2, move of range 3.
And there you go. And it's great to have him in a team, especially like if you're going up against people who are like trying to grapple a lot, or especially like your weight 3 guys who want to grapple you. Because obviously you have the archetype of they're more of a brawler, or they're more of a grappler. And it stops those archetypes, because it's like, okay, I do want to kind of get rid of him, but I can't grapple him to do it. Like, I'm going to have to beat him. I'm going to have to like knock him out to do anything. Yeah. You'd think as well.
Yeah, because when he's KO'd, then Spiky doesn't come into play.
I mean, on that, I think it would be fair to say that if he was conscious and you were trying to pin him, I think there should also be an element of that bleeding effect, because he's still going to be conscious and he's still going to spike you if you lay on top of him. So I just, worth mentioning, I might fire that off to the Rumbleslam dev guys and be like, look, how could you...
Let's get an errata.
Yeah. But just to use... because he just causes mayhem, and it's like, he's, and to be fair, his attack stats and his defense stats aren't bad. Like, and what he lacks in that grapple ability, he makes up for in the fact it's like, yeah, they're going to get damaged if they grapple you. So it's kind of fine. But I think my 2 favourite models of that range of Moote Carlo, it's got to be Dedra and Pedro.
Yeah, they are nice models. I enjoyed doing them.
So and how they play
and
is
again,
great.
I love any model that has a musical instrument. For some reason, that's just my gimmick. I absolutely love musician models.
He is good, and he's a good wrestler because technically it's one person, so it's a complicated one. But again, it was such fun to paint, such fun. They're such fun to play with, and I think I've never had a game of Rumbleslam that I haven't enjoyed, right? Even if I've lost, but I enjoy playing Moote Carlo teams, even against them or using them. The amount of fun that you have using them because of that flamboyance, and it's like, oh, I'm going to do this crazy little move. Oh, I'm going to throw this other guy. This guy's going to flip that guy, and it's just sort of like, okay. And then you've got the Kabaka that are just dancing,
Yeah.
and you got the Bandito Esquilito, that's just getting drunk and has got finger guns. It's what? And again, there's nothing else like it, they're just
The new team for Moote Carlo is like it's themed in with them as well. So you've got the Danza de los Muertos passive ability.
Yep.
That's any wrestler is KO'd or removed from the game, the team gains a reroll. The reroll can be used on any single dice rolled by a wrestler with a special rule. So the more people that go out, the stronger the team becomes, and they just keep dancing.
And as well, especially with the Angelitos Brawler, because he has that turnbuckle attack that does throw.
Lift.
Oh, lift. Either way, so you start getting rerolls on that ability. You're more likely now to be throwing someone out of a ring using a weight 1 wrestler, and it's just because it's not even a challenge. It's like, okay, I've lifted you up.
Yeah, you hit, you automatically lift. He's got a throw of 2, and I mean he can climb a turnbuckle and hit his turnbuckle ability in the same turn because he's got 5 actions, and that would use 4. And then use his last action to do the throw, and then he's got the movement in there as well.
Exactly.
I mean, that guy's a must-have for anyone that wants to just get people out over the top rope.
And it's great against wave 3s.
Well.
Oh, Muscles.
Muscles is excellent for putting into your team. Just looking at his card here, his attack stat is a silver and 2 copper, 3 copper defense, a gold and a copper grapple, and then dexterity is 1 of each color. Exactly. He's got a grapple attack that he can do at range 3, which has lifted vine width, and he can throw a range of at a range of 3 as well. So I mean, again, have him and Angelitos Brawler on the same team, you're going to be getting plenty of throwing done.
I mean, another one as well is that Maggie, the Frida Kahlo mini, the halfling with the missing half a leg, and then also with the root arm.
Yeah, she's turned into a tree.
And the best thing about that is it's just like, with her passive ability of rooted, she can't be lifted unless she's KO'd.
Mm-hmm.
And consider the fact that she's got a 2 silver defense. That's somewhat hard to do. And also, with her crowd pleaser, she can give that passive ability to one of your friendly wrestlers within 3 squares of her. So if you've got a weight 3 wrestler or a superstar who may not be that, defensive or what have you, granted the likelihood of that is quite low, you could negate an automatic lift ability from someone else because they're rooted. So, let's say, prime example, that you're both running a Moote Carlo team, and the other person's got the Angelitas Brawler. They do their turnbuckle attack, and they're like, "Oh, well, you're lifted now." I was like, "No, I'm not." And again, it's a good defense against anyone who's got lift.
She'd be good with Brujo Grease. They're from the Brawl Marillion. Because he's not the most defensive player. He's got a defensive 1 copper. So, anything you can do to stop him getting chucked around, it's always a bonus.
It is, and it's just... we're not saying here that Moote Carlo are underappreciated. They are well appreciated, and they're well regarded in the Rumbleslam community.
Deservedly so as well.
But we're just saying I think with this sort of more of discussion was just sort of like there's a lot of people who do like playing as Moote Carlo, because obviously the primary thing in Rumbleslam, as we always say when people go, "Oh, what do I get next? What do I do?" And it's just sort of like, just rule of cool. If you
what do you like? Yeah.
And it just, some people just don't use the Moote Carlo correctly as a whole faction.
Mm-hmm.
They do heavily rely on their synergy. They heavily rely on their sort of flamboyant take to wrestling, because they're luchadors at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And the characters do max.
And they really work off that luchador style, like the Cinco de Condado ability, where if they're in base contact with a friendly wrestler, they can use them as a turnbuckle. They've also got to have that same special rule. You can use them as a turnbuckle, which, I mean, when you see the lucha wrestling and you see them jumping off of each other and stuff like that, I mean, that's that rule just written down. It's it's such a good way to incorporate that,
and it's cheap as well.
In the Brawl Marillion, Pluma Luchadora also has that rule.
And what's good about it is it doesn't cost the 1 AP to climb a turnbuckle, because you're not climbing a turnbuckle, it's just your mates throwing you.
Yeah.
And it's such a cheap way to get turnbuckle attacks off. And then crowd pleasers then come into play. I mean, granted, it's a very risky thing, because obviously every time you do a turnbuckle attack, you've got to roll your crowd pleaser. But it is what it is, and it's still amazing to see halflings flying through the air at each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I think,
and with the generic turnbuckle attacks as well, you can get it off even more.
And that's another thing I'm really glad they brought in to the game in the sort of version 2 rules, that because there would be times where you didn't have enough AP to do a fancy turnbuckle attack, but you're already up there, so it's
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of then started making weight 3s more viable to get off the turnbuckle.
Mm-hmm.
But another Moote Carlo superstar, which he's a new one, and I thoroughly enjoyed painting him. Haven't played him yet. I want to get a game in where I can play as El Pollo Excelente.
Yes, I'm still to paint my one of him.
Just because he's a giant chicken. Well, he's a rooster, technically. A giant rooster. And
he's an excellent chicken.
And I just want to cause chaos with a giant chicken. And just some of his moves, like the wing line, which has got jump, which it's hilarious, because I could just imagine it, because how chickens try and fly. They do that really quick flap that doesn't really do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And just the thought
and
someone else.
The wrestlers' brawl attacks have -1 AP.
Exactly, mouth full of feathers, and it's just I can't wait to play him, and it's just one of those things that I've got so much stuff, and I never get to use all of it to its full extent,
and
I just want to play more and more. The more stuff I get, and the more stuff they bring out, I just want to keep doing more. But a lot of the time I'll get the Moote Carlo stuff just because of how it looks, and just to have them on display because they just look great. They're dynamic, they're colourful, and the posings as well are all very luchador poses, and it's because you got a lot of wrestlers who are like, it's got that, they have that sort of smug look on their face, and they just sort of stood quite smugly. But like the luchador ones, it's almost just, it is every single one of them. You can just, and I say this as a wrestling fan, I feel like Eddie Guerrero or like Rey Mysterio is coming out in like every Moote Carlo figure that gets brought out.
Mm-hmm.
And and you just see that Latin flair to it. And again, hats off to the designers of these miniatures. Just from a physical point of view, not even taking their rules into account, they are just superb models to look at. And I imagine someone who sat there like trying to get an idea past them and goes, "Oh, I want to bring more luchadors into Rumbleslam." Someone's like, "Oh, I don't know," and then another person goes, "What if we made them halflings?" And that was someone's gone, "Yes." And I know that for a fact. The owner of TTCombat,
there is no other option.
He's got a soft spot for halflings. The owner of TTCombat. That's why there's more halflings than anything else.
Yeah. That's why there's a game revolving around halflings on horses.
Exactly. That's how he got it. That's how you get anything past him. You want something made?
We need to do something set in the 41st millennium. That's kind of not really our thing. We could do it as halflings. Okay, let's put them in Imperial Guard uniform.
Which again is hilarious. I want to see Katashan Jungle Fighter halflings.
That would be cool.
A little Rambo.
I really wish I put I did that Kickstarter just to get the gangers, because there was an Escher style ganger for Necromunda in a halfling style. It was like, oh, that would be so good to have. I wish I got that.
And it would fit perfectly. But
I already have a TTCombat model in my Escher gang. So there was a Cyber Monday. It was either Black Friday or the Cyber Monday model.
I think I know the one you're on about. Yeah,
they did one that was essentially a Goliath, and the other was an Escher. I got the Goliath one for my brother, and I got the Escher one for myself.
But what was it? Now I say, because I know we're getting a little off topic here, but we're talking about halflings. The Rattling Kill team that Games Workshop brought out. Games Workshop every so often brings something out, and I think, could that bring me back in? Like the Khorne Blood Bowl team nearly got me. The Norse Blood Bowl team nearly got me. But then the Rattling Kill team that they brought out with the new box set very nearly got me. Like, to the point, right? I was on Wayland Games, and I had my fingers sort of like hovering over the add to basket, and I was just sort of like, and
there's a model that did. That's one of the I don't know. Is it one of the commemorative series where it's the sniper Rattling team?
Yeah,
and they've got like the ammo cases full of food. I really like that one. I was very tempted to get that.
Yeah, it's almost like I always envision it. I know they don't care about me, but there's always a part of me that thinks that they think we'll get him one day. Like, I reckon there's a whole team of people at Games Workshop up in Nottingham, and they're like, right, we nearly had him this time. We just need that something else. Like, they are putting lots of money into R&D to try and get me to get back into Games Workshop.
They're listening to this podcast. That's what it is.
Because they thought they nearly had me with, like, when they got Henry Cavill on their side. They go, Cav, we need you. Okay, why? There's just one guy that we just can't seem to get him to get back into Games Workshop.
But on the flip side of that, it pushed me away. So
you know, they'll get. They can't have us both. It's one or the other. One day they'll be like.
At the minute, it's pretty much neither.
Yeah, but back to the Moote Carlo.
Yes. Back to the team. There's the guys that they've got on pre-order at the minute. One of them, Santo de Plata. Is that the Silver Saint?
Yes.
The passive ability, he's got folk heroes, really powerful. This wrestler and all friendly wrestlers within 3 squares may reroll their crowd dice. That is pretty strong for just being a passive ability. He's going to fit in really well in any other team.
And I think it doesn't even matter, like, if it's in the same casino, as just to be able to re-roll your crowd pleaser as a passive ability.
Yeah.
But I do hope that he has the dosh cost to reflect that.
He is 275k.
It's about fair.
So the same amount as El Polo Excelente.
Yeah, I mean, that's... I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. But no, as an ability like that, he will be probably quite a staple in a lot of teams, regardless of faction.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that if at Birmingham Brawl you saw a lot of people bringing him.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, any long-standing Rumbleslam player would know, crowd pleasers can make or break games. You know, and being able to re-roll that just because. It then just puts a massive target on his back.
Yeah.
But then I suppose, because I can't remember...
That splits your focus away to be solely on him, making the rest of the team able to do everything they need to do.
I can't remember because I know the Trojan, his passive ability, it knocks out crowd pleaser effects, doesn't it? Or is it passive abilities as well?
I'll have a check.
Because I know the crowd pleaser one. I know he definitely does. Like, it knocks out the effects of crowd pleasers. But I don't know if it's like a passive ability. Like, it knocks out passive abilities as well. Chris is just looking.
Blind Death or Dumb possibility means you select an enemy wrestler to receive a debuff for that round. You can lower their defense, stop their crowd pleasers doing anything. Or you can make a wrestler lose every special rule from all of their abilities.
So yeah, does that? Because I've got the card here as well. So yeah, the special rules, would that come under passive, wouldn't it? Would passive considered as... I don't know. I'll have to get a clarification on
special
that.
Rule. It's things like lifted, bleeding, knockdown.
Fair enough.
They're your special rules.
I mean, again, with the new TT community. Oh, that's another thing we'll mention quickly. The new TT community page.
That was going to be new and shiny.
Oh, okay. Well, I think now that was as good a segue as any to go into new and shiny. A good segue. Inadvertent segue.
I think we covered like everything about Moote Carlo there, like what makes them great, why people love them so much. There's a lot of synergy between everything.
On the downside to that synergy, though, quickly, is the fact that you start losing, like, except the Kalaka Kabbalah. There we go. I had to say that slowly. When you start losing guys, it's like that synergy runs out, and if you can separate any of the Lords of the Ring on their own, it's like, okay, well, now they're going to start suffering. But they are a great faction, and I think the best styled, personally, and I think they really bring through that flamboyance of Rumbleslam. as flamboyant as it already is.
I think them and Diamond Oasis have probably the best, the best visual style, and not just Diamond Oasis because it's cats. I love the ancient Egyptian style of stuff. Like if it's got ancient Egypt gear on it, I'm gonna love it. I've got the Max Mini scenery sets, which has got like Egyptian stuff in there, like pyramids, monolith sort of things, what you call them, sphinxes, stuff like that. Got them, love it. I've got a couple of ancient Egypt style collectible things in my room. I just love ancient Egypt. So
it's still related to cats,
them as a team, amazing. Yeah, I suppose.
And Necrons.
But like even when I was at school, a Necron, yeah, I love Necrons because like this version of the Necrons is very ancient Egyptian, and like since I was in middle school and we studied stuff about ancient Egypt, I've just absolutely loved it. So,
but
for me, another amazing striking team.
And on Strike Team, another nice inadvertent segue to new. We're on it today. We are on it with the inadvertent segue.
We
today.
are good.
It's almost like we've been doing this for a while now. New and shiny. So I think first thing to report is, me and Chris are basically famous now. But don't worry, we won't forget you little people. We're heading into the stratosphere with our fame.
Yeah, we wouldn't be here without you.
We wouldn't be here without all 40 of you. So on the TT, Chris posted this on the Tippy Club Instagram and Facebook, that the new TT community page on TTCombat, one of their sort of like subsidiaries that they do, is mine and Chris's Let's Play Half Tilt video. Because we got really ahead of the curve there of doing a Let's Play on Half Tilt.
Yep.
We were the first people on the internet to get a Let's Play Half Tilt because we're good like that.
Yeah.
So we're basically famous now. But also other things to mention there is Strike Team and Battles. So Strike Team Commander and Battle Zone Commander. There's been a lot more stuff coming out of that. The Kickstarter goes live, I want to say, next week.
As of recording this, we're recording it on Sunday the 23rd. If you listen to this on the day that it's released, it's the same day. 2 days, 23 hours, 11 minutes, and 30 seconds exactly.
Not that we're excited for it.
The website has a countdown clock. So, ttcommunity.co.uk/battlezone.
And they both look great. Obviously, me and Chris have got some figures from the range already through like Black Friday deals. And I think one of the last the paint Kickstarter that they did with TTCombat came with a Strike Team model. It's like for anyone who's been living under a rock or hasn't been to any of the events, Strike Team Commander is TTCombat's response and answer to Kill Team in the Dropverse.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not like Chris knows, and historically I've mentioned that I've never been a big fan of like big tabletop games. I've always been a whore for skirmish games, just because of the low model counts and the variety and things that I can paint. I just can't sit there and paint large armies. I'm slowly getting through my bolt action Soviet army. That's been taking me about 3 years to slowly paint what I've got from it. Just because I don't like painting. I don't like painting lots and lots of things the same. I get bored. So I am looking forward to that. I've seen a little bit on Battle Zone Commander, which is like the next step up.
Yeah, the vehicles that have been shown for that, like the scaled up versions of what you get in Drop Zone.
Mm.
Just had to double check that was the right one because I always get them mixed up. And they look absolutely incredible. The tanks just amazing.
They do, and yeah, I can't wait to start playing that. I'm hoping that they might have some demo games at the expo, and I might be able to get a few games in, or be thrown into it and go, "Hey, so here's the rule book. Can you learn how to play this in like a night?" And then so you can demo it tomorrow. Okay. But I always learn games by playing it. I can't just read a rule book and be like, "Oh, okay, so that's how that works," because I need to play it. Same thing happened with Half Tilt.
Yeah.
But no, really looking forward to that. As it's forewarning,
Strike Team really strikes me. Which is the more skirmish level one that you're saying. It's a like room to room clearing, and that piques my interest. That
tickles your pink. And I think this new and shiny is almost going to be, it's sort of almost halfway between like Kickstarter stuff and backers backing of things, and then some stuff. I'll let you talk about the next thing that we're going to talk about. That is probably Kickstarter related, because I know you're itching to talk about it.
Well, that doesn't narrow it down.
No.
But, on GameFound at the moment, Blackside Studios has a new starter set for Don't Look Back. It's not a new version. It's compatible with previous versions. If you got the big rule book with all the lore and stuff like that, it's that. It's got like your rule clarifications and stuff from that in it. And there's a like a stripped down version of those rules that are inside of it. So if you just wanted a quick rule book to be taken with you, it's going to be in the box. A new set of characters. There's no previous ones in this starter set, and the characters that get unlocked through the GameFound campaign are added to the starter set. And there's been one extra one unlocked as of recording,
which I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah. So, new killer, a bunch of new characters. Like I say, all brand new ones as well. Terrain and a mat. There's some card terrain for setting up a camp. So you've got a camp cabin, some area sections, which is like your trees and things like that. A bunch of fences, camp entry archway, the camp map and sign. So you've got a little bit of line of sight blocker there. Car and a dock. So they'd be pretty sweet to have. And a 36 by 36 inch paper mat.
Nice.
And I've got some like neoprene mats, so like that's more likely what I would use. But the things like the camp cabins, things like that, I don't have any camp big buildings. I've got like tents and things like that from TTCombat, surprisingly, that I got for The Walking Dead. So like having more of these like wooden building things that'll help add to it a little. What else do we have in here? There's a new version of the Final Girls. So it's new sculpts of those same characters, but with a killer added in, because it's now Facility 86. So the expansion has like a little narrative section that runs through it. There's a bunch of new killer visage card, MOs, trait cards, environment cards, item cards. There's also the Facility 86 terrain, which again, it's card stuff. and there's like buildings, some line of sight stuff, fences, vehicle, and some blockers, terrain area. Summer Camp Massacre deck adds a whole lot of new cards themed around summer camps. There's been unlocked for purchase the Suburban Slaughter, which is another themed deck. There's the Grant Residence card terrain pack, which is like a suburban set, which I'm not too bothered about myself because I've got plenty of suburban terrain. So yes, a lot of stuff. There's extra add-ons you can add into things. So there's the Don't Look Back 1698 expansion book. There's the hardback rule book. Northwood Heroes pack, which is like the new sculpts of the previous starter set, and put the new characters in there. Some of the old expansions have got updated cards to match the new style that they're using.
Nice. And what's good as well is the postage isn't like silly. You know, it's good. It's a good way if you are looking at getting into Don't Look Back. This would be a good way to sort of get into it because the postage to the UK is only like 16 quid.
Yeah, it depends on which one you're backing. So if you're getting the set that's got like every expansion and stuff in it, it's going to cost more just because it's a bigger thing. But it's nothing compared to like if you're buying it direct from America, where you're getting clattered with like the import tax and stuff. There's it's got UK friendly shipping with like a distributor base over here that's going to be getting used. So I'm looking forward to
quite looking forward to getting them painted up as well. To be honest, the new heroes that they've got look great.
So there's a police officer. Then you've got your teens. One of them is like a field hockey player.
Yep, one's holding a table leg.
Yeah, that's Griffin. He's got like a lamp in one hand, table leg in the other. Ophelia. Can't quite tell what Ophelia's gimmick's going to be from this picture, anyway. There's the unlocked character Cody, who is like he's like your 80s tough guy looking character, and he's carrying a wrench.
Just all really exciting stuff, to be honest, and it's
and these are in PVC, but there is a resin upgrade you can get.
But it's just one of those things. It's one of those games where I wouldn't say it's niche, but it's just really hard to get in this country because any time that there is any availability of stuff over here, it does sell out very quickly.
Yeah.
And it is nice and refreshing to be able to get something almost from the horse's mouth, so to speak, without having to pay like stupid like amounts of import tax on it. So that is really refreshing. But back to our normal programming of TTCombat love. The Broga, which is the main thing that's been released of the pre-orders that I am looking forward to the most. I love the Biker Mice from Mars, love Terminator, love the Feral Den. This figure for me ticks so many boxes. And honestly, I can't wait to get my hands on it. I can't wait to paint it. Can't wait to like crack some skulls with it. It's just all round a great mini for me. And I know some of the rules that it's going to have. I'm sure they won't mind me saying because it's now on pre-order.
Well, the character code's on the item.
And I'm just got to find it now. Where was it? Was it in there? It's annoying now. Oh, yeah, there it is. Found it. I think I saved it to a favourite. That's how much I loved it. Obviously, Chris was never a big fan. He never watched Biker Meister and Mars, but
that I was a bit too old for watching Biker Meister and Mars.
I mean, so card wise, attack 1 gold, 2 silver, defense silver, copper +1, grapple 2 silver +1, dexterity gold +1, 4 movement, 3 actions. 4 movement, although it doesn't sound like a lot, but for a weight 3, that is pretty nippy.
Yeah.
The only
he matches a lot of weight 1s and 2s.
Weight 3, 10 stamina. Now here's the kicker: he has a throw of 6. So most weight 3s will have a throw of 5 or like 4 or 5, but this 6. His rope ability, high speed chopper, 2 gold +1.
The only model I can think of that has a higher throw is the Croneo del Azucar from the new Moote Carlo team.
So his
throw of 7.
So his rope ability, although it's 3 AP, it does 3 damage as a base level, but it has 2 gold +1. The chances of you getting that instant KO or even adding that extra damage for beatdowns is unbelievable.
Yeah.
But, at a high risk, high reward of, the AP cost. His special ability, 2 action points, which is Steel Sleeved Shoulder, 2 silver, does 2 damage, and also does shove 4. So that's going to
very strong. You can get people into the ropes with that, or into a turnbuckle.
And then his grapple, another 3 AP grapple, Rat Splat, 2 silver +1 because obviously his grapple, does 2 damage anyway, and does knockdown. So it's like he's going to be causing a lot of problems. Now, he's a heel, so he has the Boo crowd pleaser. He gains a +1 AP and MP, MP counters, and he gains +1 to his attack and grapple until the end of his next activation. Consider that he already has a +1 on his grapple. It now puts him up to a +2 grapple, and his attack is now 1 gold, 2 silver +1. So he's just going to become an absolute unit and a problem for everyone around him.
Yeah, he's going to be an absolute nightmare.
And his passive ability, so he doesn't have to do anything for this, called Egomaniac. Whenever an enemy wrestler within 3 squares fails their crowd pleaser, this wrestler replenishes 1 stamina. So the best bit about that is if, and by the way, he's only like 300k dosh, which for a weight 3 superstar is pretty good. Because obviously if you're playing someone who's trying to get the crowd pleasers off, let's say prime example, you're playing someone who's playing Moote Carlo and they're trying to do all the crowd pleasery things. They fail it. The Broga, although his 10 stamina isn't great for a weight 3, let's be honest, you're now replenishing every time someone else that fails a crowd pleaser. So it puts even more pressure on your opponent to get their crowd pleaser. And honestly,
anything that can replenish any amount of stamina is really strong as well.
He's just going to be an absolute nightmare. It might even be a case of that if I was to run him in a team, I wouldn't even bother having anyone else on that team. I'd just put the Broga in the middle and go, deal with that.
I think Broga and have the Dr. Blight. Have her going in with the experimental rat. I think they could be quite a fun combination.
Oh mate, it's going to be mental, and I'm glad that they brought it out when they did, because the Feral Den needed that love, and we gave it the love, and then they went, I think now's a good time to bring out the Broga. Don't know whether the two things coincided, but I think they did.
all I'm going to say is I'm now thinking about Birmingham Brawl. Maybe have a rat team. And Richard has called me out on the Tippy Club blog on the episode where we're talking about UKGE. And it sounds like he's ready to throw some hands. So I'll see you in the ring, Richard, because I'm doing everything in my power to be there.
It's either going to be rats or cats. Either way.
Oh, either way, you're going to get scratched.
There you go. The gauntlet has.
I'm really looking forward to it. Like I say, I'm doing everything I can to be there this year, and that belt, man, that belt's got to come home with me.
It's whether it is just one of those things. Can the veteran hold on to his title or the newcomer swipe it from underneath him?
Man, it sounds like the events have been really good and like everyone has a good time. So I'm really looking forward to being part of that.
I mean, the great thing is as well about Rumbleslam as a whole, as we've said this before, most other games from a spectator point of view aren't really that interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Rumbleslam is entertaining to watch someone else play.
Mm.
And it's because it's how quick it is. And as I say, when you go to like when we're at the tournaments, you see other people got like just like normal trophies, like for the games that they're playing. Rumbleslam, what other award are we going to give out than a wrestling belt? And it
looks so good.
It's a great quality. It's a great quality wrestling belt. Louis knows a guy. Yeah, they are really good quality belts. And it was funny because Richard was like, "Oh, what color belt is it going to be next year?" And I was like, "Well, what color do you want it to be?"
Because what is it? We've had red and green.
So you had the first one was black, I think, and then we had a red belt, I think.
So why am I thinking there was a green one?
Well, there might have been a green. It probably might have been the green one, the first one, but it is such a good quality belt. Like, yeah,
the face plates on the side. It's got the TTCombat logo on it. I think that looks really nice.
Oh, mate, because whenever I go to if anyone's ever been to the UK Games Expo and they've seen me, I'm generally like on the first day I'm dressed up as a wrestler. So last year I was Mankind. The year before I was Cactus Jack. This year I feel I'm going to do Roddy Piper because I've got my Hot Rod t-shirt on now.
Nice.
Got my kilt, got my jacket. Just going to be Roddy Piper this year, I think.
I'll put my wig and the SWAT gear on. I'll come in as Seth Rollins from The Shield.
Nice. And when I carry the belt, when I carry the belt to the table, to the gaming area, and I've got to walk through all three halls. Yeah, it's over my shoulder, just so everyone's like, "Oh yeah, you can see it."
Check that out.
Oh, it is great.
Oh man,
but
I've got to get that belt. I need it. I've got a space on the wall just for it.
But
and Richard needs to bring a new team. You know, you can only play the same team for so long. He's going to have to get toppled.
I mean, his theory on it is that the team that won the belt should be the one that defends it, which I think's fair.
Yeah,
keeps it in the kayfabe. I think.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's such a good time. Everyone always seems to enjoy it, and there's been people. We've actually had people come down to the stall when they watch the tournament, and they're like, "Oh, we were just interested in this," and then we'll sort of explain it, and then they'll have a quick go, and then they're like, "Oh no, this is just really, really fun." But honestly, it's a good time all round had by all. Even when people lose, they're still having a good time. But
yeah, I don't think I've ever had a bad game of Rumbleslam.
No. But and I think the other pre-order stuff that we have spoke about is the new Kalakabala. I have to slow that down when I say it. Too many C's and L's and B's. The way and because what's the new booster team called?
Danza de la Muerte.
Oh, so they're just called
Dance of Death.
Oh, they're just called Danza. Oh, fair enough. They look great. Honestly, more musicians. You got a violinist now. Someone else playing maracas.
Yeah, with loads of feet coming out from underneath the dress they've got on.
And again, another really colourful skeleton team. I'm here for it. Gonna get my hands on that at some point.
Yeah, those ones are available now. Santo de Plata, the Superstar, he is pre-order. Released on the February 28th, along with Don Bayer, which is a pretty cool model. It's like a halfling lizard thing, but he's got like a full cover on with like the Lucha mask as the design on the front, and he's carrying a spotlight. So I'm pretty sure, is that something from Final Fantasy?
Quite possibly. I was never really into Final Fantasy.
It's something I'm pretty sure was in like the really old like sprite based Final Fantasies, where it's got like a lantern and a knife, and this guy has a was it there? His turnbuckle ability is the flying drop shank, which causes bleeding. So, yeah, I'm gonna say that. I'm pretty sure that's something from one of the old Final Fantasies.
I mean, I'm very likely to pick a lot of this stuff up at Salute, because I think that's the next event I'm going to. And if you are in the London area, why not come down to Salute? Come and say hello. I'll be there. Chris won't be, because Chris doesn't really like to come that far south.
I don't like London.
I don't like driving through London either.
But I just don't like London. It's too many Londoners. Not enough Northerners.
That's right. It's actually, I'm not sure if anyone knows this, but it's actually a crime to go into London as a Northerner and then say hello to people.
And it's just against our nature to not say hello.
But it's so I think Birmingham's probably about as south as Chris really likes to go.
And even then, that's a push.
Where he comes down, yeah. Oh, you southern fairies.
It's too close to the equator for me. But the one that fans of Carnevale, in particular the patricians, will be interested in, is the Pinnacle of Affluence, featuring me and a cat. So I've been told that cat is there in case the guy wants to have a snack, and I've got a feeling that was Owen who was using the TTCombat page to reply with that. Because I know he likes teasing me about cats.
It's your constant cat folklore riot. I think that he's getting sick of
it. Well, there's only one way to stop those messages, and that's by giving in. But now it's so like all the factions are getting the big model, and this one's for the patricians. So there's this dude on a throne living that's
called a palanquin.
Living like a palanquin.
Yeah,
I'll take your word for it. Living that
we're learning today.
That hedonistic Roman lifestyle, and he's being carried by 4, I'm gonna say, very strong men. It's really, really cool looking model.
It is, and for me, looking at it, a lot of moving parts to paint, and I feel it's going to be one of those situations where it might have to be painted pre-assembly.
Yeah, a lot of sub assemblies, painted all in bits.
and it looks great. And the rules on it, which I shall get up because I had it prepared. Because obviously a lot of these things, the resources become available very early on, especially to people who are in the fold of the TT agents. We get early looks at rules just to make sure everything's fine and dandy. But the Pinnacle of Affluence is available on the TT resources right now. Obviously, it's a leader. 3 actions, 30 life points, which I suppose makes sense given that there's a lot of people in said thing. 75 mil base, so big base guy. 32 decats, which is about fair for the size of thing is.
No, there's only one cat on there.
Ah, yes. Movement 4, Dex 3, Attack 3, Protection 3, Mind 3. So, very easy to hit. Doesn't move very fast. But that's not what you're there for. It's not what it's there for. It's not. It's not there to be in a combat. It's more of like a supporting leader. Best way to put that. So obviously it's bulky, limited movement. It can't climb walls like every other characters can. But it is
a shame.
But it is an expert grappler too, which is always handy. Considering the fact that because of the size of the base, you will get bonuses for grappling.
Yeah.
Because you're on a bigger base. But it does make you subject to the hunter rule. It's a give and take. But
yeah, the guild will absolutely mash that thing up with the fishermen who have that.
Who would then give a bit of command ability to give other people hunter as well, which it's a whole thing. Nothing worse as when you play as the Risharan and someone's got a couple of fishermen on their side and then they go, "Oh, bring it down," and then like now everyone's got hunter and you're like, "Oh, come on. I just wanted to use my giant fish monster to eat a couple people." And now
I just wanted to swim in the canal.
And you're not making this fun anymore. But 5 will points, which is quite a lot. 3 command points. But that doesn't sound like a lot. But because his rule bask in my magnificence, the character replenishes all of its command points at the start of its turn. So it will always, and that's what makes it a good support one, because it replenishes. It's not like a use and lose. One of his aura command points is, "You there, do something." And that is until the end of the round. Other friendly characters that start their turn within 6 inches and line of sight of this character gain first strike 2 until the end of their turn. Nice. Which, again, when you consider that there's like a lot of patrician
very
characters,
strong leader.
And then the characters can only be affected by "you there, do something" once each game round. So obviously you can only do it once a round of that. And then there's "stop them, damn you, I don't care what it takes." Friendly characters who are in line of sight of this character gain bodyguard. So again, although he's not very dexterous, the likelihood that you might get anywhere near to attack him is low.
Yeah, he's bringing people in to kind of just chaff up place.
And his attacks are all right. He's got Strice's paw, which is the cat. The cat's called Strice.
Yeah. Strice, my boy.
And then -1 penetration. Then there's his range attack is called Gilded Table Scraps. It's got a 6-inch range. It's just harmless and it causes stun, so always handy. And his other one, his other close combat attack is called Minty Fresh Breath. -1 penetration. Poisoned. It poisons people.
Yeah, I was going to say, something tells me that this breath is not going to be minty fresh.
No. Poisoned, and it obviously uses like the flame template that comes with the range things. So yeah, that's going to be quite fun to use. But otherwise, mate, it is a fantastic model. Really dynamic. I'm really looking forward to playing it. Not so much forward looking to painting it, but I might give that one to Dad to paint. He's painted all of the big models for Carnevale that we have. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it was teased on the subject of that. It was teased, obviously, in the Advent calendar, TT Advent calendar. Mm-hmm. I cannot wait for the Pulcinella chariot.
Yeah,
that looks so good. I've seen the digital renderings of it. I don't think they've got a physical model of it just yet. And I reckon they might be announcing that at like the expo. I reckon it'll be announced at the expo when they'll try and bring that one out.
Cool.
And I love Pulcinellas. They're such, in a game that's pretty grim dark, they do bring in all of that humour into that game. Mm. It's like, I
really like like just basically anyone in the guild, but especially them. They are just such
it's their whole
fun,
vibe,
chaotic team. It was the Pulcinellas that got me into Carnevale through Rumbleslam.
And my favourite character of the Pulcinellas is the brewer. He's the only character that could drown people on land. And their synergy with each other is absolutely amazing. Like, I was playing against my dad. My dad, 9 times out of 10, when he plays Carnevale, he just loves playing as the Pulcinellas. And every time he's played with them, he's been successful just because, like, he uses them to their full effect. And it's like, we're going to do we're doing like a 150 Ducat side. My dad's like, you are aware that I can use all of the Pulcinellas that I have. Just because obviously, we're talking the guild who anyway are, quantity over quality. Like, you can just have so many guild people. Pulcinellas even more so within that. And it's like, it's just a horde of drunk clowns. And he's just...
And ostriches.
And and it's just sort of like... And it's so funny, when I fight him, I would use like I like to really use the doctors and the patricians, but I was using the doctors at this time. And it's like really highly educated people who were like, nah, against drunk clowns. But the synergy they all have, and especially with like their end of days rule, is just so crazy, because it's like, okay, if they can all see each other, for everyone that can see each other, you get like a dice to put into the end of days pool. And then my dad, basically, next thing you know, he's got like 10, 15 like re-rolls that he can use. Because he's just got a horde of Pulcinellas. And then you've got ostriches coming at you from all angles. Moloch, because they can affect, because if you have the brewer and the fire breather next to each other.
Fire breather.
The brewer essentially has Molotovs. It's just... what can you do with that?
That's a cool rule to put in for them.
And it's like, the brewer, what's he going to do? He's going to drown you. Sorry, what? I'm not in the water. I didn't say that. I just see it as him like waterboarding someone with beer. And it's just sort of like, yeah. I did that to... Black Spectre of all things. I'd somehow drowned a ghost on land. Try and explain that to someone who doesn't play Carnevale.
Yeah, it's definitely an experience.
But again, I'm so, obviously we're now sort of starting to get back into that time of the year where releases are going to be coming out. Christmas is now done with, companies are getting back to it. And honestly, this year, I feel, is going to be such a good year, not just for Rumbleslam, not just for Carnevale, all of the, TTCombat games that they're bringing out. It's going to be a big, big year for them. And I think this is, I think from speaking to a couple of the guys who work at TT, I think they're really going to be pushing a lot this year to just sort of, get themselves out there. I mean,
they've been building strength to strength with everything from bringing back some of the the previous licenses they've had that have kind of fell to the wayside, things like relics. There's a lot more focus going on to them. You've got the new stuff being added to the Drop Universe, and then the paint range. They've just been, like I said, just really building it,
and with
and pulling the trigger on everything now.
Yeah, and the color printed MDF scenery,
chroma stuff,
and obviously they're still. I keep bugging them about Home Raiders because obviously. I think what's going to happen with that, if I keep bugging them enough, they might just, when it comes out, they just give me some of it just to shut me up. Just just stop. I might take your approach, Chris, or I might just start putting on Home Raiders or Riot. I might start doing that, and then they're going to be like, "Oh God, it's very obvious those two are friends."
All I'm going to say on the Home Raiders front is ancient Egyptian penguins.
Yeah, so I did hear.
I know what my team will be.
So I've heard from the horse's mouth that it's not going to be just Egyptians. They're going to try and take from all of the mythologies. Mm-hmm. So if I see a Thor penguin, I'm having a Thor penguin. I'm having a Norse penguin. Do you know what would be more funny? Because obviously penguins don't belong in the desert, so Egyptian penguins is hilarious. Mm-hmm. Why not have Norse cats?
Well, you've got the Norwegian forest cat.
There you go.
So that's already a thing.
There you go. But honestly, and obviously some of the digital renders of miniatures that they've brought out and teased, and they teased in the advent calendar, look amazing. I can't wait. And I think my daughter's going to love playing it as well. And I think she really likes the penguins as well. So we'll keep my fingers crossed.
We'll team up against it.
But it's as a game concept, Home Raiders it's just a great concept of a game. Mm-hmm. Your house is the terrain. That's it. All you need is dice and models and measuring sticks, and you're done. You don't need terrain. Do you have a house? Yeah. There you go. There's your terrain.
Yeah.
You could even play it on the stairs in the kitchen. Just be like, yeah. Oh, why haven't you cleaned the if you're a married man or a married woman and you've got kids and you're playing war games, why have you not tidied up the table? It's a wargaming terrain now.
Because we're playing.
It's that crisp packet that I've left there's breaking line of sight. It was strategically placed. See how well that goes down. But honestly, yeah, I'm really looking forward to Home Raiders. It's going to tick those boxes for me where it's going to be low model counts. I don't need to invest any money in terrain. The characters are going to be colourful and entertaining, which would be good. And as family gaming goes, I think I mentioned it when we were talking about family gaming, but the rules sets on it aren't comprehensive. And it's just, I can't wait for that. I know that was sort of outside of new and shiny, but I just thought we were talking about stuff. But
for one last thing for new and shiny, there's a new YouTube channel called Fools in Armour.
Yes, there is.
Which, until some content is added to it, I'd say get it subscribed and await.
Yeah, and just a brief summary of what it is. It's Fools in Armour in association with the Tippy Club Gaming. Is because obviously me and Chris play D&D regularly with a couple of my friends and my daughter, and we were all sort of talking about sort of recording some of our play sessions, but then not to clog up the Tippy Club page, because obviously not everyone is into tabletop role-playing games, and it wasn't right to... It was an executive decision by Chris which I agreed with, because he doesn't want to, we don't want to clog up the Tippy Club with things that necessarily people aren't really going to be not everyone's going to want to watch.
Yeah.
So
between paint tutorials, the odd bit of gaming that we do, and the podcast on the Tippy Club channel, that's already like 3 separations of people. So to add more like role play stuff into that, I think would have been like a net negative overall. People unsubscribing, because I know I've done that with channels where it's just they're not producing the content that I followed them for, so I left, and that's about it.
Plus, as well, it also lightens Chris's workload with editing and managing it. But no, so hopefully the next maybe the next week or so, we'll get some stuff up there. Maybe not a playthrough, but more of almost like a session 0 of just you getting to know the fools. And yeah. But in the meantime, if you like tabletop role-playing games, and it's not just going to be Dungeons and Dragons, obviously a lot of it's going to be that, because that's the big daddy of tabletop role-playing game. We're going to be playing things like, Avatar Legends, the Alien RPG, what other ones? We might even do a bit of Walking Dead RPG, Fallout, and Shooting Iron, which me and Chris really want to do because we like rooting, tooting, and shooting, and we want to use our bullet dice.
Yes.
And just and obviously if there's and we also want to get a go at Worldwide Wrestling. If you've not heard of that, that is a nice wrestling RPG, tabletop RPG, which we're both.
I think having a few people playing that will be a lot better than what we were originally planning, where it was just us two doing it. That way, you've got multiple characters in your matches, and your DM.
Thanks for joining us on the Tippy Cast, and if you're listening on Spotify, be sure to follow us.
And if you listen to us on YouTube, why not drop us a like and subscribe, and weigh in with your thoughts on what we've mentioned, missed, or something for us to look at for the next episode in the comments below.
And it's a goodbye from him.
And it's a goodbye from me.